Hi everyone. Um, Tonight with the Open Hearth, I'm running a game called Dark Grail by Scott Malthouse. The final game of my Arthurian series, which, as promised, is getting darker and darker. So this is a horror game about a quest to destroy the Grail. The country is on the brink of destruction. Arthur and his knights succeeded in acquiring the Grail, but it deceived them. One by one, they became afflicted, and soon the darkness seeped out of Camelot's walls. It's been 10 years since that hallowed day. Twisted, malevolent shadows that once stood for valor stalk the wilderness. Um, Mordred, Lord of Putrescence, seeks the lost Excalibur. Arthur is joined to Mordred, an unrecognizable, slobbering pustule. Players take on the roles of the afflicted, noble heroes who hold onto a sliver of humanity. Their only hope is to find Excalibur to shatter the Grail. So, I'm the GM for the game. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. So let's hear from our players and hear about their characters. Let's go left to right in character people order. You're muted, McKay.
Classic. So Ethan of Narberth is a priest, a Catholic priest who has been made probably a bishop or some higher status in the capital, and he's been corrupted after that. And to answer his questions, what maintains his humanity is the memory of his hometown, where he was a simple priest in Arbeth, in Wales. And he regrets his peaceful life he led there. And he will atone for his arrogance and pride, or of having accepted a higher title and pursuing some dark path with some demon in doing that. And he fight to be with God again then.
Okay, great, thanks. Sabine, how about you?
Yeah, hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I'm playing Sir Corvin of Ravenstone, who uses he, him pronouns. Sir Corvin was a knight of the Round Table, and well, he helped with the finding the Grail and bringing it to Camelot and Triumph. And when I think Arthur sensed something wrong about his son Mordred, and I stayed his hand because striking down your own flesh and blood is wrong, right? And I regret that. I regret that. No, clearly he was right. If he had done so, maybe none of this would have happened, or maybe it would have been worse. It's unclear because anyway, yeah, that's what I regret. And also regret the fact that we dragged the Grail, that we let the Grail thing influence us. We should have known better. And now I need to atone for my arrogance because it's all my fault, and that's not arrogant at all. And what maintains my humanity? I have a sick horse. I care for them. That's the last thing that I have from what I view as my knighthood. My shining armor is gone. My shield is gone. I have my sword, but it's besmirched but the horse, it's sick. It probably won't last, but it kind of connects me to the person I once was. And I really, really hope I can help it with the herbs I still carry around. And I don't have to eat it because there's this hunger in me. I am a beast. I have been sprouting feathers, and I've been dreaming of flying and hunting, and it's kind of hard to understand what's real and what's not. And I fight for the hope that there's something good somewhere, is that we can still. There was the shining ideal of the round table, and that I haven't let go entirely of that.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask some questions just to dig a little bit deeper. Ethan, what happened to your hometown of Narbeth? Is it still intact and pure, or has it been overtaken by the corruption of the realm?
I think it's still intact and pure. And a small little town, nothing of importance for the realm. So probably still intact and still living an isolated life.
And how long is it since you have returned there?
It has probably been 5 or 6 years.
Okay. And maybe here's a follow-on question about your corruption. How or when did you realize that you had been corrupted by this demonic entity and that your soul was forfeit?
I think at the beginning it had something to do with accepting this invitation to power, or somehow I try to achieve power through some old ritual, to some superstition that it backfired. And since that moment, fortune has been on my side, but my life has been corrupted and somehow overtaken by some demonic entity.
Okay, great. Sir Corvin, obviously when Arthur went to slay his son, you stopped him, but when did you finally see that your king had become corrupt also?
I think it was when he held up the Grail and the shadow fell over all of us. There was something, the sunlight changed, and I saw his face and I saw his eyes, and they widened. And I saw him struggle, and then they became black with the power of the Grail. And then I knew that we had all made a terrible mistake. And that was when Mordred stepped in, cackling at us and our arrogance and our mistakes.
And when did this Corvus curse, if we can call it that, take root in your blood, or is it a family curse or something?
It is. My family has always had this connection to the ravens. I mean, I'm the Knight of Ravenstone, right? And I think the curse took hold immediately when I was touched by the Gray's shadow. But I did not want to see that. It took me a long time to understand that it was actually me who had been cursed. It was me who was carrying this blight. I had managed to destroy Ravenstone by then, so.
Okay. Your family seat of power, your family themselves, everything associated with the line.
Yeah, basically, it's all been taken over by these. I mean, the Ravens have always lived there, but they never were like they are now.
Okay. So let's make a little bit of connection between our characters.
Cool.
Ethan, how did you know you could trust Sir Corvin on this quest?
So I think Sir Corbin has perhaps been in the confessional with me, and I've come to know his side of humanity, his many thoughts about his horse from inside, and his regret. So what happened with Arthur striking his son, and seeing the humanity in Sir Corbin and in his confessions, I knew I could trust him.
Okay. And Sir Corvin, how did Ethan's teachings or guidance bring you to discover that Excalibur would destroy the Grail?
I think there's a litany that maybe he sang to me, and I had heard that before, but with a different text. It was a local thing. We sang it another way. It sang another way in Wales, but in Camelot we had an extra line to this, and that said that Excalibur would shatter all evil brought into the realm. And yeah. Or with the sword, and I realized that had to be Excalibur, right? Because I mean, what else? What other sword could it be? And if I'm not sure that that is true, I will silence that voice inside me. It's the corruption speaking that doesn't want us to destroy the Grail, right? It can't be real doubt.
Yeah, it's the hope that gets you, right? Okay, brilliant. So let's maybe start with the flight from Camelot on your quest. Ethan, how do you get out of Camelot? Is this in the open or in the middle of the night, or what means do you use to escape the court?
It's not going to be too difficult for Ethan. He is still an important figure at court, a bishop, and he has his vestments, and no one is going to stop him. Probably they're gonna whisper and ask about his business, and word is going to spread that he is left. But he's sure enough that he can go wherever he wants, also in a prideful way.
And Sir Corvin, where are you leading Ethan of Narberth to find Excalibur?
I think we would have to. Arthur found it near Avalon, right? That's the tale. So what we need to do is we need to get to Avalon. On the
I guess there's a lady of the lake, who.
And there used to be. Who knows what became of her? Okay. I've never met her. I mostly was interested in ravens, hunting, and being noble back in the day.
Okay. So it's a long journey, but maybe not as long as it could have been once. Let's start with some kind of journeying roll. I think rumors spread, and you know that the more attention you bring, the worse it will be for you. So I wonder if I wonder if journeying like this, keeping under the radar, so to speak, seems like a test of being a hunter. Wilderness survival.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not going from church to church saying, "Hey, I'm the Bishop of Camelot. Bring me your finest meat," which kind of very obvious. Yeah, we'd probably stick to less than the beaten path.
I mean, maybe that's maybe that's me assuming. Maybe the best place to hide is in the open.
I don't know. What I mean,
I think that outside the city, Ethan would follow Sir Corvin's lead. Once we are outside the gate.
Mm-hmm. And this is Sir Corvin's reasoning there. He says, "Well, Father, I see you haven't brought your retinue, so I think we'd better keep off the beaten path." Okay, then I will try to find a way that brings us to Avalon.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk through how you make a test. So you're going to roll. So in the dice room, I've got black dice, which are the Grail dice. Those are, I guess, like dark dice and trophy and so on.
Okay.
The red dice, I put 3 in there, so that's for archetype level. Mm-hmm. And then there's a blue die, which is your test die. You're always rolling a test die regardless of anything else. So now, so it looks like Sir Corvin's hunter is 3. Mm-hmm. So you'd be rolling those 3 red die and a test die. Okay. And if you wanted to, you could roll any number of Grail dice if you tap into the tainted magic of the Grail.
I feel that right now, what benefit would that give us? I mean, right now I have 4 dice to roll, and
which is pretty good, right?
And what am I looking for?
You're looking for high dice. So a 6 is like a major success. Okay. There's no, everything goes fantastically. You succeed and then some. Mm-hmm. And the Grail dice roll high and they give you the same effect. The downside is if any of those Grail dice turn up a 1, which is normally doom, and you get no major success. So if you get a 1 on the Grail die and no 6 elsewhere, the Harrowing Wind, which is kind of how much ill effect the Grail is having through the realm, goes up by 1. At the moment, it's 1, and everything is kind of okay. It's just like normal normal bleakness. So it's definitely a risk, but you can decide not to roll any in this case.
Okay, but I don't need to roll them,
You
right?
don't need to roll one.
Okay,
It's
I would roll one if I have very few dice, so to
or if you're doing sorcery, or
I'm not currently doing sorcery. I think I can maybe do this without summoning a heart or something. Let's roll those dice. Yeah, there's a
there
6.
You go. A 6.
Yep.
A major success. Everything goes fantastically. You succeed and then some. So obviously that means that whatever rumors are going out in the countryside don't pass you out, and if they do, whoever you meet hasn't heard them if you meet anyone. So that's kind of what success looks like for sure. And then maybe you find a good route to Avalon despite the years. Why don't you describe a little bit of the journey, Sir Corvin?
I think we can see a little of the kind of curse, right? When we travel through the woods, like there are too many mushrooms and not enough flowers, things like that. The animals that we encounter, some of them seem sickly. We find one that I definitely want to eat, but it's so sick. It's kind of I can keep myself from even trying. I look at it longingly, but and I think Ethan will notice, but I will not try to eat that. What game and food we find always has a weird taste. Like it's edible, but it kind of tastes a little off, but it's really tasty. Yeah, and the land is not empty. There are people around, like the woodcutters and people you would encounter in the wood, but they will avoid us. They avoid strangers because strangers, you never know, right? You never know. Mm-hmm. And there are monsters. There are monsters out there. They will not bother us because I have a sword and we have a priest, and they are not very much in love with the sign of Christ, but we can hear them out there. It's like they are following us at a distance. They will not attack or anything, but we are maybe watched or hunted or whatever. We're not safe.
Okay. Ethan, maybe describe a little bit of the journey from your point of view, and then maybe we have foreshadowed some danger on the road already, so we'll switch to that when you're finished.
I think that when we are traveling, perhaps we avoid open roads, and from time to time we stumble upon an abandoned chapel, and we try to find shelter there and to find rest. Just to find out that the place has been wrecked and it's not as peaceful as we wanted it to be. And it's always stalked by some dark beast. And in the end, we'd rather be on the outside, hiding under the trees in a forest. But these holy places has been corrupted.
So what do you notice as you approach this chapel that warns you away from it?
It's clearly abandoned, and dark green vines are climbing these small stone walls of this chapel, And the door is barely resting on its hinges. And when we enter inside, it's all chaotic. So candles on the floor and broken windows, pieces of glass everywhere. And I think the worst fact that is that when we are inside, we feel like we are outside. So we feel watched. We don't feel protected. It's like every windows has eyes watching us from outside.
Okay. And I think inside also, like the tiled floor is overgrown with moss, and maybe there's like a ring of mushrooms where there should be some kind of religious mosaic, but it's been taken over by this strange growth. And yes, you should definitely leave this place. Corvin, have you followed Ethan in, or?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's a chapel, and I will look to my horse and ask her to wait. I'll come in a minute to take care of you, but I will follow Ethan in and kind of absentmindedly pick at one of his feathers that go out of my hands.
So yeah, I think maybe your does your horse have a name?
Yes, my horse has a name. I haven't thought of it, but it does have a name.
Okay. I think your connection with the horse is such that maybe your first inkling of danger is when the horse kind of has stayed outside as you have ordered them, but starts to back away, from the chapel. And maybe stamps her feet, like to maybe not to attract your attention, but it's like the old battle habits of the horse. It definitely feels threatened right now.
If there's nothing currently trying to eat Ethan, I would say I'll have to look at my horse. After my horse. This is wrong anyway. And then I go out and look what has my horse booked.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is just the chapel. Like it's the whole feel of the place feels wrong to Clarity. Your mare's name. Okay. But I think as you are talking her into calmness or whatever, Ethan, you hear something behind you, something kind of crawling over the altar, and it's quieter than it would be if it was still pristine stone and tile. The moss is definitely hiding the clicking of its claws over the stone. And before you look around, you just get this stench of rotting. You don't know what it is. It's just like this. It's not rotting anything particularly. It's just maybe a sense that the world is rotting around this thing. What do you do?
I see something in particular crawling, or
so
is it just a feeling?
Well, a feeling, and then maybe if you look around, you see this this thing coming towards you. It looks like a cadaver, like a corpse, but not a normally rotting corpse. It seems like it's being kept in this way by some kind of dark magic. And it, you kind of, you meet its eyes, but then obviously there's no eyes in the sockets of its kind of rotting skull. But you get a sense that it recognizes you, or at least senses that the corruption inside you is the same as took it. And I think you see the tattered vestments. So this vile imp was once a priest like you.
I think Ethan would hold his cross, which is hanging around his neck, and it's a golden cross gift from when he accepted his title as a bishop, and holding his cross towards this creature, he would say in a tone high enough to be heard outside, and authoritative and prideful enough. What are you, foul creature?
Okay.
Stop yourself.
So I think that's going to call for a roll. But first, let's take a break. We'll come back for our dice roll and the resumption. So I have. Okay, we're back. I guess we're looking at getting some answers out of this vile imp, maybe driving it back, or maybe even destroying it entirely. Sounds.
I was thinking there might be also some conspiratorial side to Ethan's words, like, what are you doing? What are you doing here?
Okay.
This is my place, and there are a demon also, something like that.
Yeah. So I think like chaplain or sorcerer, depending on how dark you want this to be. I might leave it up to you.
For the moment, he's just trying to banish this creature or get an answer,
Okay.
holding his cross as well. So
okay,
more of a chaplain moment, perhaps.
Yeah. So the cross you mentioned is the kind of sign of or the cross you got when you were made the bishop, right? Do we think that this
Yes.
is corrupt or a little bit of the Dark Grail's powers in it?
Absolutely might be. It's a very wealthy cross, symbol of Ethan's fall and corruption. So
okay. So I think in that case, we should add a Grail dice to the roll. Maybe one if it's just like a symbol of the kind of wealth and corruption. It's not really an artifact of the Grail, but it's maybe just corrupt by association, right?
yes.
Okay, so then. So I think based on your chaplain, you'll be rolling 3 red dice, 1 blue test die, and 1 black Grail die. Okay, wow. Another 6. and the Grail die is not a 1, so you are okay. Okay, so yeah, everything goes fantastically. You succeed and then some. So yeah, I think when it sees the cross, it recoils, and maybe it almost seems like a pitiable person for a moment as it kind of backs away from you, and it's stopped by the kind of mound of moss that used to be the altar. What do you think? Do you approach it? Do you force it to tell you what it knows? Like, what does this look like for Ethan?
I would approach it and holding the cross and trying to cast this creature away. Let it crawl through a window and out in the open and away. At the same time, I expect some, I also seek some knowledge, but I know that it would be, it won't be something I like, but more something of like the sort of this place is not yours anymore, or you're more like me than you think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it scrambles away, and you can feel like a little bit of a change in the air in here. It's like the sunlight comes in the window, and everything feels a little bit fresher. And as it climbs out one of these broken windows at the top of the nave, it turns and tells you, do you think there is some person from your hometown or some friend of yours who you thought lost that might have fallen to the power of the Grail?
Yes. That might be my sister.
Do we have
probably? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I was just gonna ask if you have a name or.
Not yet.
Okay.
Let's see. Margarita.
Okay. So I think the vile imp maybe doesn't know her name, but doesn't say her name, but says, "You will join your sister soon enough in service to the Grail. She performs her eternal duty at Avalon, as you will." And I think the sunbeam that comes in the window is almost enough to warm your heart, but this is maybe a bit of a chill. If
I
you
still shiver, yes.
Yeah. If you thought she was safe, then this is quite quite the shock. So maybe this chapel is a good place to stay. I think maybe the change is not going to be immediate. The moss will, maybe disappear over a season or two, but it's not so bad now that his presence has been driven out. So maybe like a quick scene of you during the night or at breakfast the next morning or something like that, just to get a sense of your thoughts or your feelings on this quest. Sabine, how do you think we see Sir Corvin do something normal or that shows what kind of person he is?
I think after if Clarity is fine with it, he will take her into the chapel. If Ethan doesn't mind that, he knows that usually you shouldn't bring a horse into a chapel, nor a sword, really, but it does not feel like a wise choice to leave Clarity outside and just with the sword. Yeah, and he will look at the altar like, do I want to pray? Is that he will turn to you, Ethan, and says, Father, do you think it's appropriate that I pray? Do you think God will hear me or someone like me?
I think right away Ethan will snap something like, there isn't much to pray in a place like this. And then he would come to himself and mumble, and of course my my child, and let's read some verses. And he will open his prayer book and recite some of Sir Corvin's favorite verses.
You can sense that is actually kind of helping Corvin. This familiarity, this ritual, it helps to remind him that maybe what had gone before, that maybe not all is forever lost in the darkness, I guess. Is that too theatrical? Probably, but you know what? He's a theatrical guy. And then he will prepare something to eat, I guess, for you and the horse, and probably himself. No, he's kind of stares at his food like, because it's basically just a gruel or something and no meat in it, and stare at it like, it's not really enough, but he'll eat it, of course. You can hear his stomach grumbling.
I wonder, when Ethan says, there's nothing to pray for in a place like this, is he talking about the chapel or the whole kingdom? How depressed or down is Ethan about the state of affairs?
I think he's talking about the chapel, but by extension could be the whole kingdom, sure. And I think that it's like, I mean, this is kind of a mood swing of being oppressed and depressed about the fate of the kingdom, and seeing a familiar place like a chapel, and against the great cathedrals of the capital, for example, and a place that should be pure. And also when he starts reading to Sir Corvin, perhaps from that moment on until the end of the night, I don't know, he starts to be really apprehensive for the the knight's soul, you know, in the sense that for example, I don't want to lost another soul again as I lost my sisters, and so and he tries to care with prayers and with excessive kindness, apprehensive kindness to Sir Corbin during the meal.
So how does that make Sir Corvin feel? Is it like someone is visiting you on your deathbed, or what?
No, I think he is. He's been a little. This is not something he's been thinking about a lot. He's not used to kindness. I think in the past few years, people have always been very scared of him, actually, because I mean he's a knight, he has a sword, and okay, the horse is not well, but still, and he has done things that he's not too proud of, and he has he has served Camelot in a way he didn't want to, but and someone being kind to him and then caring about his soul, and that hope that maybe his soul is not that damned to hell forever, despite everything. That is kind of It does not feel like it does not feel condescending or anything like that, because this is a bishop, right? This is a man of God. He has a lot of respect for Ethan, despite everything else. He does not think that Ethan is super corrupted or anything.
Mm-hmm. The faint stench of brimstone you get used to, right?
Yeah, you get used to it, and also maybe it's just the devil trying to fool me into not trusting Ethan. You know how the devil is.
Okay. So yeah. I think maybe the next morning, after another plain breakfast, you start on your way, heading again towards Avalon. And your path goes through, a wild forest. Maybe this once was your prime hunting ground for the court. Um, what do you think, Sir Corvin? Do you remember hunting here in the glory days?
Sure, I love to hunt. Was best thing ever. Hunting was my, of course, besides doing my duty as a knight, but yeah, hunting with my brother knights, that was fun. That was, and the ladies of the court, and everybody's like in the sunlight, and everyone was happy and laughing, and yeah, that was, and the thrill of the chase.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe while on the verges of the forest, you see a lot of the signs that you saw, near the chapel of corruption and decay. But as you go deeper, it seems to be a little bit immune from that. Um, uh, I think then you see signs of some activity. Maybe woodcutters or charcoal burners or something very ordinary like that, kind of untouched by the outside corruption. Ethan, what do you notice about uh, these charcoal burners when you come across their path that kind of explains a little bit why they're untouched by the outside corruption?
So from the outside, even if they are doing this dirty work, they look always clean. I like some men just after some ritual cleansing, and there is probably something about this place that keeps them safe.
I think you could obviously the whole process of charcoaling imbues the air with a certain smell, but I think you also smell like a normal campfire. They're brewing some tea or um, cooking their dinner themselves, and Corvin, how do they react when they see you? Do you think they notice the signs of your of the beast or of the corruption?
I think they don't precisely notice the signs of the beast because I keep them hidden and I try to pluck the feathers out when I can where I can catch them. So, but they still will react with fear because I am a tall man. I'm a knight. I still have a sword and I'm armed and I have a crossbow. I'm clearly not someone to be trifled with, and I look pretty morose, as you might imagine. And maybe they have some instinct about the whole corruption thing. That it's not because it's not maybe visible, but there's something about the eyes. They're too dark. They stare too much. The voice is maybe just a little hoarse in a way that is not precisely human hoarse. More like the caw of a crow or a raven, but it's not noticeable. You wouldn't say, "Oh, this guy must be a beast person," but it's kind of like this. He's just disconcerting, and he knows that he's had that experience before, so he will try to seem as harmless as possible. However, you will do that, and yeah, and speak greetings to them and then hope that Ethan will take up the talking thing because, yeah.
Yeah, so they're, I guess, a little bit suspicious, but just in the normal stranger danger kind of way, right? But they invite you to sit by their fire. Maybe it's like, oh, we'd be safer if we can see them instead of sending them on. Um, and yeah, I mean it's simple food, but maybe not quite as mean as the stuff you have been cooking these past 3 days. Um, well, what news do you have of the outside world, travelers?
No. Kingdom is on this repair, and our once great king Arthur has forsaken his children and joined the foul Mordred. And as I tell them, the great news that everyone knows, do they look like they know what I'm even talking about? About the king, about
I mean, they've heard of Arthur. Oh, who wouldn't? But I think it's like your news is confirming, their suspicions about the city and what goes on there. Um, maybe there's a little bit of a internal discussion that they're all familiar with about, oh, I told you we shouldn't have gone there. It was a bad idea because of what's going on, and maybe this is the discussion they've had before. But you serve the king. You must, by the look of you.
We do, of course. We serve the king in the good and the bad. And we are seeking a way to cure the kingdom. And even if the king may be lost, God is still with us. And I was wondering if Ethan, about them being so clean and pure, do we notice something, for example, holy symbols, either pagans or Christians? And asking also about this pagan symbol that Ethan is carrying with him. And
yeah, so is this a pagan symbol from, say, where you grew up, or something you picked up along the way and that you keep for mysterious purpose? What do you think?
I was thinking it's something that my sister left me a long time ago, before she was quote unquote lost somehow. And I probably drove away thinking it was something horrible and the work of the devil. And probably still think so, but in my heart I realize it's not, it was something good for her, and so I keep it with me.
Yeah.
As a memento.
So do you think maybe it's a matching symbol, or one very similar to it, maybe a different style?
Might be.
Nice.
And they wear it openly, right? Maybe as a necklace or something.
Yes, perhaps not so openly, but it's like on hanging outside a backpack, for example, and
so you could miss it if you didn't know what to look for. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Of course, because it's heresy in the end, so they wouldn't show it probably.
So I think maybe they. Do you think they see you, or do you think you can, hide your glance and notice it, while no one is looking at you? How do you think you deal with this realization?
If I see this symbol, I would probably being a churchman, probably I will start to behave in an inquisitive manner, asking simple question: why do they live out here, and how did they manage to have so clean and good vegetables and food, and hinting at is something afoot. Have you been practicing sorcery? Without saying, of course.
Okay, cool. So I think that's a test maybe on chaplain. You know, being inquisitive. It's quite close to inquisition for me. um, uh, so yeah, I mean, I think it's a straightforward test with chaplain. But do you think maybe if this pagan symbol is acting against the Grail, maybe there is some demonic or Grail influence, you know, kind of corrupting your inquiry or interested in your inquiry also.
Yes, or if I could anger someone, some entity, because of my mistrust.
Okay. So yeah, you can take however many Grail dice you want into your pool, of course, but maybe it's an idea to take at least one.
I'll get one. All right.
Okay.
It's 6 red again.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
And that Grail die is still cooperating. So yeah, I mean, despite their misgivings about you asking all of these pointed questions, right? They somehow infer or understand that you are on their side and not as they would see it, a servant of the king, you know, a servant of the evil which has overtaken the land, but something else. What do you think you do or say that convinces them of this in the end?
In particular, probably they feel my some hope under my accusations, and some hope that these symbols, this holy object, holy relic, could be of help. And so also that my sister was right. Of course, they don't know, but is they feel some hope, some hopefulness.
And one of them says, if you are doing this thing, then you must take one of these, and like he reaches to his pack to take his symbol off it and give it to you. You must wear it openly when you go to Avalon, or you will be lost.
At the beginning in disbelief, and then with some kind of realization, I reach for my symbol in my robes, and I'll give the. I'll tell me if I can. I'll give this. I have one already. It has been given to me a long time ago, and I didn't understand why. Now perhaps I do. And if I can, Sir Corvin shall have this one, the other one.
Thank you, Father. I appreciate it. If you give it to me, I probably will not question that.
What do you think of this sudden reveal that your confessor has been carrying this pagan symbol around all this time?
If it's his, then it's probably not pagan. that is very simple. He is a bishop. If he says this is a good thing, I will trust that. I have not a lot. I have some knowledge of folk sorcery, and this seems like something I would use in a protection, maybe, that has been taught to me by this by my weird uncle, I guess. But he never was very clear on where that stood via my soul. He said it was fine, it's fine. Don't worry your head. No.
Yeah.
So I will accept it and say thank you kindly. And may I inquire if you any idea what would expect us at Avalon?
And he lowers his voice because when you speak of powerful beings, you don't want to be overheard. The hag, she is in the lake, and any who cross it to get to Avalon must face her wrath.
Oh, okay. She's not the one who once gave our king a sword, is she?
No, of course.
Of course. So she has been corrupted as well. Oh. And I turn to Ethan and I say, this is not, I fear the worst. Fear that our quest may be in vain. Yet do it we must, because I cannot see another way.
Ethan has some renovated hope and would say, do not despair, my child. We will see ourselves and the kingdom through this. Trust me, as you see the plague, the corruption is not everywhere yet. There's still time.
Yeah.
Whatever peril that we face, I'm sure your sword and our faith will prevail.
I look a little skeptically at my sword, but I will not voice that. I will instead try to get some more herbs for my horse, because she needs a bit of care here. If these people have clean food, and maybe they have clean herbs as well, that'd be useful. I do not have any money to pay them, though.
Well, maybe this is salt is an old currency stand-in, so maybe you swap a patch of salt for a pagan symbol. I don't know.
I don't need a pagan. A pagan's for the horse. Okay, I will do that. Yes. No, I wanted some herbs here to create a poultice or something for her, so she can breathe easier.
Yeah.
And I would give my pack of salt for that. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe an exchange, and some of them will help clarity to recover a little bit.
I'll erase the pouch of salt and write not quite a sick horse now.
Not quite a sick
Not
horse.
very sick horse.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, I think after a pleasant stay with the charcoal burners. You continue to move on, and the journey is long, but given our first roll for that route finding expedition, I think it goes. You don't take any wrong turns or anything. But when you come to the area you would be heading towards for Avalon, there is a bridge, or at least a ford over a river, and behind this you can see the lake or the sea, the channel, which must lead to Avalon. But on this ford stands a knight, and he is, well armed. There is an uneasy dread as you approach him. There is, I think a cloud hanging over him, quite literally, which you realize are, flies, blue bottles, other kind of the kind of things that would hang around a dead corpse. No ravens circling, but
I'm here now, so.
And it's as it sees you, it draws its sword. There's no pretense at a challenge. No attempt at an excuse for a fight. It knows what you are and wishes to stop you.
I will draw my sword as well, but I will address it and I will say, "Greetings, brother. May I ask whom I'm fighting here?"
Do you think there is still a sigil on the armor or the shield that you recognize?
Absolutely.
So maybe when it, steps forward and presents its shield, maybe there's like a, slime or detritus on it from its long sentry duty, which just sloughs off, and you can see the sigil. Who was this knight once?
Who was this knight once? I think. Let's go with it. Yeah, let's say it's Galahad. He brought the Grail to Camelot. Yeah. He was my best friend, my brother, and now he's here, and like that.
And it speaks in this kind of death rattle, like everything it says is the last breath of a dying man. Don't you recognize me?
I do now. Oh, Galahad, what have we done?
We have created an eternal kingdom for the service of our king.
We have corrupted an entire country. We are about to destroy the kingdom. Galahad, you are the purest knight of us all, can't you see?
And it, raises the visor, and you see these, plague-ridden eyes, pustules, all kind of grimly telling you that, if Galahad is in there, it is just a corruption of an echo. Galahad is definitely dead.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, creature who wears my friend's body like a vestment of corruption, I will stop you. Even though I've lost my shield and my armor and my horse is sick, I will stop you. I will raise my own sword now.
Okay.
And I will whisper to Ethan, Father, if I fall, continue the quest.
Okay, so fight. So you get one test die, your 2 red dice for nice.
And I think I have a grail die because my sword has been corrupted, I think.
Okay.
It's blemished and there are pits in it and it looks rusty and it almost appears like there's a fluid running from it. It's a rusty fluid. It's probably not blood, but maybe, who knows.
So when is the last time you drew this sword in anger?
I think that was some time after my homestead, my castle fell, and someone was asking me about, and in this snide kind of voice, maybe I imagined that was and I drew my sword in anger, and I fought them, and I slew them, and it was just some person. I think it was not even a knight. It was just some person who probably had not deserved to be slain for that remark.
So I think you hear the sword kind of rusty ring as you draw it, and in your mind you hear it say to you, finally you will prove yourself as the best, and you must step over the corpse of this poor knight to prove that.
I don't know if this is my own thought, because it sure sounds like something I would have thought, but right now it feels odd. But I can't let myself get distracted.
Okay.
My thoughts right now, it's about fighting, and that includes deeper thoughts than philosophy. So we'll roll the dice. Wow. Yep.
Wow. Yep. all 6s. These red dice are really doing it for you.
Yeah.
So that is a major success. You deal a grave wound to the enemy, having their dice pool, but they don't have a dice pool. They have it's more like hit points. So you're taking it from 3 down to 1. Although maybe you could do something like, I wonder if the foes can use equipment like you can use equipment.
Can we use equipment?
Yeah.
How do we use equipment?
So armor and shields. You may destroy the armor or shield you're wearing to turn a grave wound into a minor wound or negate a minor wound.
Okay.
So you do have armor, right? Even though it's not particularly
I do
good,
have armor. I have torn
counts.
armor.
Yeah. So I'm gonna use this knight's armor to reduce that grave wound to a minor wound, which means it is only going down to 2 dice instead of 1. Okay. So why don't you describe this flurry of attacks, which obviously Galahad isn't quite as sharp as he used to be.
Yeah, he used to be a better fighter than I was. I was like, okay, I'm gonna die here, but I realized he is really not Galahad. He used to be very quick on his feet, very good at at figuring out what the other person was thinking, like that kind of a fighter who first saw his enemy's movements. That's gone. He's plotting. He's stronger now. I realize that, but he's plotting. He's not. He can't look inside my head like Galahad could have. And I hit him a wound that would have been grievous. It's No, the armor catches it, and also he is kind of dead, so it would have been a very grievous wound on a living man, on a dead man who doesn't need to actually draw breath or digest food, really. It's a torn, it's a rend, but it's not as bad as it could have been. I think I
He
need to
wasn't
take
using
his
that
head.
lung anymore anyway, right?
Yeah, he wasn't using that long anymore, right? And I think I need to take his head or something like that.
Okay. Ethan, what are you staying well away, or are you trying to look for some other way to affect this battle?
I think Ethan is staying well away, and this is somehow Sir Corbin's moment. Um, but probably what Ethan would do is to recite the same verses he recited the night before in the chapel, or some night before in the chapel, to give faith to Sir Corbin against this horrible foe.
Sounds like sorcery to me. What do you think?
True. They are
Wouldn't that be more chaplain
Christian.
because these are prayers, right?
They are prayers, yes.
Okay. So not magical, just kind of a charm or prayer protecting him. Okay.
But we could go for a sorcerer also if it's something that with messing with this creature and
yeah, I mean that sounds fair to me. So chaplain, do you think you are using your holy cross to bless Sir Corvin?
I think it's more of a pure moment in which I'm just reading the same verses that I know Sir Corvin cherishes, and so.
Okay, well, no need for any Grail dice then. It sounds like so. Just roll your chaplain rating and a blue die for the test. Okay, and that is still a 6.
6 blue.
So what does this look like then?
I think that simply reinvigorates Sir Corbin, and so that in a moment in which he thinks he's started to become winded, to lose stamina, if find the strength to strike again.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is enough to take down the corpse of Galahad.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think maybe we're at a good time for a break, and then we'll finish off X Sir Galahad when we come back.
When do we come back?
Okay, we're back. So I have 2 ideas for what this blessing could do. Maybe we'll leave you decide, Sabine. One is maybe it gives you a bonus die on your next duel. Or the other idea would be maybe it protects you if things go horribly wrong.
I like the idea to have some protection if something goes horribly wrong.
Okay.
Because that means that it could go horribly wrong.
Well, based on what the dice are saying so far, nothing is going horribly wrong for anyone.
And now you're jinxed it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's put together another die pool for this fight. I guess night and a dark die for the sword.
Yep.
Do we think it's the same number of dark die, or do we think that as its promise or wish to defeat Galahad comes true, it becomes more powerful?
I think that might have been the case, but then Ethan starts praying, and that kind of brings me back into who I want to be instead of who the sword wants me to be, and that counteracts this whisper. Don't you want to put a stop to this abomination of your this travesty of your old friend? And I'm like, no, I can't do this without listening to you, sword. Just hit him where it counts. Do what I want, not what you want.
So that'll be 1 Grail die, 2 red dice for your knight, and 1 blue for the test.
Yeah. Let's roll them. Let's see how that goes. Well, there's a 5. See, no more 6s.
Not a 6, but no 1 on the Grail die at least. So that is something. So you deal a minor wound to the enemy. So not quite putting it out of action, but definitely beating it back. So the armor is used, so they can't soak this again. What does this look like? You think?
I think it looks like I'm a little invigorated, but I'm also trying to keep control of myself, right? Myself and the sword, and concentrate on the good things. So I think I'm fighting rather mechanically almost, because Galahad isn't as good a fighter. It's clear that I have the upper hand, but I'm flagging a little at least, because I have to concentrate on fighting my sword and Galahad and my mind, and also I'm hungry. Well.
So I think you beat down and you're like pushing him back into the stream, and then he collapses into the stream, and he doesn't move, and then suddenly this swarm of flies just erupt out of the various rents in the armor and out of the visor and the helmet, and they attack you.
Yeah, I hit at them rather ineffectively, I think, with the sword.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm surprised. I'm like, no. I mean, I have armor at least. How big are these flies?
I mean, they're not like gnats, but they're like normal house flies or blue bottles, or they're big flies. You could definitely kill one with a sword,
Yeah, but that is probably this is swarm. That's probably also, but they're flies, right? I mean, yeah, they're unpleasant, but what are they gonna do?
I mean, I think maybe you say that, but I think the horrible realization maybe is when you feel one of them crawl inside your cuirass, right? And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, plague flies from a plague knight.
Okay, that is not great, and I think I will at that point probably maybe not let go of the sword, because I'm a little suspicious, but I will start I will just it's a stream, right? It's not very deep, so I will try to drown the flies because they can't swim usually.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting into the water, trying to get rid of the flies.
I think that'll I'll keep them off you for a moment. I don't think we need to roll for that. You're not going to drown yourself.
No, it's a stream. You said it's not very deep, so I'm.
Although the PSAs would have us think you could drown in anything, right? But not in this game. Ethan, do you think maybe there is some chance you could see these flies off with sorcery? I mean, I'm really plugging for sorcery here.
Or if you won't, I will. But I'm panicking right now a little.
Maybe this is how salt is going to be useful, right? Who knows?
Thinking more of a scene in which Ethan starts to run towards Sir Corvin, and these flies waving his hands around, and with his Holy Cross, and you probably take off his Holy Cross and use it to chase these flies and blue bottles away. And so maybe it's more like the how you say pure gesture. So you're not supposed to wave your cross around chasing flies, and also with the assumption that this cross comes from has a symbol of its own pride and corruption.
So you've just made yourself a target for those flies.
So do you think you're rolling to get rid of them, though? You just think it's going to be, you're going to be rolling some Grail die.
I think I'm rolling to get rid of them, and with probably a couple of Grail dice because of the impurity of the act and these Holy Cross, this corrupted Holy Cross.
Okay.
But I'm not sure which archetypes applies to waving your hands.
Waving your hands doesn't sound like a core activity of any of the archetypes.
Yeah.
Bluffing, intimidation, maybe. I'm not sure flies can be intimidated, but maybe. What do you think?
So,
Scandrel.
Scandrel.
Bluffing and intimidation. I mean, obviously, there's some. They're not just flies. There are obviously some.
Yes.
Whatever dark plague took Galahad is now imbuing them. But yeah, some would be Scandrel, and then so one red die, one blue die for the test, and then as many. Do you need an extra black die? You can have as many black dice as you want.
Let's get a couple of Grail dice.
Okay.
So 1 Scandrel, 1 blue, and 2 dark.
Okay.
6 dark.
6 dark. I mean, it's not that it's the highest. It's you don't want any ones to be on those Grail dice, so it's still a major success. How does it look when you vanquish these flies and a very soggy Sir Corvin gets up out of the stream?
I'm just standing there, keeping my robes up so they don't get wet in the stream, and by now this holy cross, this golden holy cross, has become a sort of morning star, flaming about, and there's something in the cross that makes them fly away and keeps their distances.
Okay. So what does the aftermath look like? You have this Galahad's armor, maybe looking a little bit cleaner and more like you remember it in the stream. The
I will maybe say, maybe not a prayer, but like, your intentions were the purest of us all. I hope you find peace somewhere, my friend. I also hope you don't mind if I take this one, and I'm taking the shield because I don't have one, and it might not be the worst idea to have one because we might be facing other monstrosities along the way, and having a shield could be possibly helpful if that's the thing I could do. But if it's an RC game, I assume I could.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
Pick up a shield.
I will write the shield down with Knight.
Yeah.
We'll write Galahad's shield because it's probably corrupted in some way, shape, way, or form, but
dented shield. I mean, those dents are new, right?
yeah. Well, yeah, but
okay, awesome. Okay, and yeah, I did describe that this ford was like maybe just leading into the stream is leading into the lake. So you cross the ford to reach the shore, and yeah, it's still I think it's more like a a water a lake that is stagnant than the fresh lake you might remember or have been told about. So yeah, lots of scum is the word I would use to describe it. There's green stuff that's just on the top of the water, and there's this unpleasant smelling mist in the air, and in the distance you can see the Isle of Avalon, but it is certainly not easy to get to. But out of this mist comes this boat. You can hear oars or something splashing, and the boat finally gets to within to close enough that you can see exactly what's going on, and it is like a giant carcass. It is a boat of bones.
Okay.
And at the inside it is this strange creature, a crown and a spear, and it looks like someone's been too long in the bath, so this not quite scaly lady, let's say, but certainly there's something fishy in all meanings of the word, and she hisses at you and raises this spear aloft.
Well, I will raise the shield a little and I will say, "Greetings, fair lady. Will you take us to Avalon? We are in sore need of its shores." I fully expect her to attack me, but I feel like it can't hurt to be polite.
Yeah.
I'm a knight. We are supposed to be polite.
You're not going to start this fight, but you're going to end it, right? That's.
I don't know. I mean, maybe she can talk to me. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can learn something.
So yeah, I think maybe a bit of diplomacy is not a bad idea.
Yep.
If you're not starting it.
Yep.
What do we think? Is this an archetype? I mean, scoundrel is the closest thing I can see to bluffing and intimidation, but maybe you have a different idea. Charming is in chaplain.
I think maybe it's chaplain more because I'm trying to talk to someone, and I think that on a kind of courtly level, and since I don't think it would fit in with knight, it's one of the knight's purviews, but still, it would feel odd because then I could do everything with knight.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will try to use chaplain, which I don't have.
So there's one blue die for the test, and however many black dice you want to call on.
I mean, I have the shield, right, of Galahad, so I think I'm going with that. I'm leading with that. But also maybe the kind of hoarseness in my voice will remind her of something that she feels familiar with.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she's corrupted, I'm corrupted. Let's do a corrupt thing together. Or yeah, maybe that sounded weird. Oh, there is a 4.
Okay, that's not terrible.
The Grail die is not a 1. So
not a 1, yeah.
It's a thing.
So that is a complication. Things don't go your way. That's the worst result we've had so far. Things don't go your way. Yeah, I think that's true. That would have, but why not? I think maybe what seems obvious is how terrible can I be? It's a complication, so it's not like a failure. She says to you, "Have you come for the sword?" But Ethan, you notice that some sign or some sense that you have that maybe your sister's bones are in this boat. That everyone who has come here before on behalf of the Grail has been dyed and incorporated into this boat. However that makes you feel or inclined to negotiate here.
Since my sister's bones, I don't know where they are and I don't feel them here, so I will say to her, "Yes, we have come for the sword. Will you give it to us?"
And if Ethan notices what might be his sister's bones in the boat, perhaps because he recognizes the ribbon that she used to tie the pagan symbol that she gave him. and a red silk ribbon now stained and still around a wrist. And what Ethan would do, I would take this pagan symbol and put it right in front of me, and also in a kind of raving manner, inciting Sir Corvin to do the same. This is the time. The symbol, this relic, is what will protect us. And I'll try to order the lady by the right of this symbol.
Okay.
So bring us to Avalon.
So I think, I mean, this is not sorcery, but it's the sorcerer archetype, right? So yeah, you can roll those 2 dice and your test die, obviously, and then however many Grail dice you want to take your chances with.
At a Grail dice.
Okay.
A 4.
A 4 and no 1 on that Grail dice, so still scraping through. Complication things. Yeah. I guess things don't go your way. Sorry, it's not a proper complication. It's a failure, but I guess not as bad as it could be. I misread that. But anyway, let me see. Yeah, I think so. You're holding the pagan symbols in front of you, and she laughs, but there's definitely an element of fear here, and she smacks your hand with the haft of her spear, and I think that pagan symbol falls out of your hand. I think maybe it does something like catch on one of the bones or the hand of your sister on the boat, if it's going to be a good dramatic scene. But then she grabs you and pulls you into the boat, and she is about to do something like kill you and make you into a new prow for her boat. You will come to me with Avalon, it is true, but not in the way you desire.
Can I maybe, interfere here?
You could, for sure.
I would like to do that. Yeah, and you know what? I think in this instance, I could either try to use sorcery myself, which I have no idea about how to do, and that didn't go so well. So I will use the trusty old sword, and I would rather threaten her than just slay her, but she's been attacking she's attacked Ethan. Come on, I like Ethan. So I will hit her with the sword, maybe not trying to deal a fatal blow, but just to say you will not harm the good father, hag. You will take us to Avalon, or I will slay you and take the boat myself.
Mm-hmm. That seems fair.
But I will hit her. I will hit her. So with my sword.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see how that goes. There's a 6.
There you go.
It goes well.
So I think I think you strike a blow and Ethan is released, But what does that look like?
Oh, well, I think, what does that look like? Yeah, she is a little surprised. She seems to have forgotten about me, because I don't think the corruption does well with your thinking through stuff ability. So I hit her, not that hard, but she screeches and lets go of Ethan and turns, and then kind of has to fight for her balance on the boat. And I think that is at least the moment when I myself get in the boat also. So we're on the boat, except for Clarity, because I don't think Clarity wants to go into the boat or will fit to the boat.
Can I make a little suggestion that undoes your last sentence? But maybe it makes sense when I say it. I think when you strike her and she lets go of Ethan, maybe there's some hand choppage or something, I don't know. But she also, like, the boat is in danger of capsizing, and she also releases her spear. And when it hits the shore, you see that it's Excalibur.
Spear, oh my gosh. Nice.
So, it was maybe ensorcelled to look like a spear, but is in fact the sword. Or maybe it's always a spear and it just looks like a sword.
Okay, I like it. I'll take it.
Ethan, what do you do? You're grabbed and you have a fearful moment, and then the boat starts to push away. And maybe you see like a hand on the boat of bones, like grasp your pagan symbol, as it floats away.
So things are not going in the direction Ethan hoped. So there's not too much he can do but resort to God again. So he will utter some prayer as loud as he can, while Sir Corvin tries to reach for Excalibur and wielding his cross again as a holy symbol in front of his face. More like a shield.
Well, I mean, I think you're no longer in danger from the Lady of the Lake. But if there's something else you want to do, like maybe free the soul of your sister from the boat.
Yes, the lady is on the boat still, or
she's on the boat.
She's on the boat.
And with Sir Corvin's attack, she's no longer a threat really to you.
Okay, great. So I think then, yes, his attention would go to his sister's remain, and he would take the red ribbon away from her unrecognizable wrist, and will utter some prayer then to bless her soul and to let her soul entrapped in this place get away and go where God and all the saints are waiting for her.
Okay.
Okay.
So chaplain for sure, right?
Should I add a grail die? Or
you can, if there's I guess some element of that dark power within your prayer.
Sure, and all around the place, surely. and the desperation.
Wow.
Ooh.
Still no one on that Grail died, but
Yeah.
that's a pretty terrible roll. So yeah, I think your prayers fall on deaf ears. There is no this realm is not within sight of God, and uh, as the boat withdraws into the mist, you hear the lady cackle again, and she knows exactly who you are so concerned about, and the last thing you see before it disappears into the mist is her reaching over with a bloody hand to uh, to take the hand of your sister's skeleton, and that's it. That's the last time you see them. Okay, so I'm just looking at time. We are due to wrap up at the top of the hour. So I wonder if we can do like a montage of however far you want to go in this quest. Now that you have Excalibur to destroy the Grail and to kind of free the kingdom from its influence. Does that sound all right? So yeah, I guess a couple of quick vignettes from each of you of that kind of return to Camelot and how it goes. Do either of you have any ideas straight away for what comes next or what we see next?
I think at the return to Camelot, maybe we will see. We enter. I don't think we make a big deal about it because we're here to destroy the Grail, and that probably won't go over well with the people. So we're not exactly sneaking in, but not making a big deal about it. Just we're back. Yeah, it's fine. But as we stride in, there's a let me check the lines and veils real quick here. What is it? Okay. Yeah, we see I think a young, not an infant or something, but a maybe 12-year-old boy who looks a lot like Corbin, minus the feathers. Or is it minus the feathers? And he comes around the corner and he says, Father, I've been waiting for you. And as he steps in front, you can see Corbin's shocked face. You can see in his back is filled up with feathers. It's just, he's just hiding them. I'll leave it there.
Okay, great. How about for Ethan? Any detail of your entry to Camelot or the destruction of the Grail?
I think that we will be entering Camelot. Sir Corbin wielding Excalibur, and Ethan. Each time we are stopped, claiming he's the bishop, and we are here to cure what ails the realm and the kingdom. So, and I was picturing a sort of blessing, for example, in the castle chapel, the blessing of Sir Corbin and Excalibur. in order to be able to complete this deed and destroy the Grail. And while Ethan is blessing in this holy place, this ancient chapel, while he's blessing Sir Corbin Excalibur, he sees a reminder of his affliction, of his lost soul. Some, demonic face, some entity between the people watching this ceremony. And he's reminded of the difficult path that awaits him, even if they succeed destroying the Graal, to go back to a peaceful life and a free life.
Okay. So you want to add a second vignette for Sir Corvin?
Oh yeah, I think I do. I think this is a bit later. Sir Corvin looks A, injured, B, there are a lot more feathers, and his features look more like a raven themselves. There is clear, but he still has Excalibur, and while his hand looks kind of like almost scorched when he wields it. He is, you can see him stepping into the chamber where the Lord of Putrescence, I guess, is lollying around on the throne and kind of like playing around with the Graal, and looks down at Ethan and was left with Corbin and says, "Do you really think that will work?" And he kind of laughs, but it is a bit nervous. You can hear in this high-pitched laugh, you can hear the fear behind it. And Corbin raises the sword.
So all set up for the final nail in the coffin. What do we see Ethan do, or how do we see the Grail destroyed?
Okay. Sorry, I missed who we are. Who is this entity?
Oh yeah, so it's the Lord of Putrescence, who is like the combined Mordred Arthur thing, who sits on the throne.
So I think it's the moment for, since I have the green light, a final duel between Sir Corvin and this Lord of Putrescence. And he's also laughing about the holy symbol, the golden cross that Ethan wields, reminding him of his corruption. That is a symbol of your corruption. But somehow Ethan draws back to his faith, to what he fights for, and it is a symbol of faith again. So it's not this corrupted symbol for him. And Sir Corvin strikes the final blow to the Lord of Putrescence. Perhaps they end each other's lives in a terrible battle, but at least the Grail, a low vessel, is destroyed on the floor.
Maybe
and lights come back. Yes.
maybe the Grail falls, and so does the sword, and everybody lies dead, and you have to take up the sword and destroy the Grail. Ethan, what do you think about that?
I'm into that. And as the Grail is shattered, lights come back from enters again from the small windows of this chapel or of this place.
And what do we think the last thing that Sir Corvin sees or thinks of before he draws his last breath?
The last thing he thinks of is, I think it's the child that was not real, and maybe of a day and back when everything was not wrong, when he had taught his son to ride on clarity.
Perfect. So I guess we should close there, unless either of you have any last moment to add, maybe after some time. No, we just leave it there. Okay, so I'll stop recording and we'll do a quick debrief.